Hello, this is Christian Okoye, former Kansas City Chiefs. You are listening to Grilling Truth.
Welcome to the newest show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, Survive and Advance, brought to you by MyBookie.ag. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and I want to welcome in my co-host, a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, 1981 national champion. Help me welcome Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing great, Mike. It's a glorious day in the United States today. The Masters have started.
All right.
We are playing golf in the most beautiful venue in the land today.
All right, so I'm going to start this off instead of you just giving us a rundown. We're going to do it this way. I've never really watched golf. I have played it before. I enjoy it, except there's a whole lot of cussing and cursing, but it's kind of like anything I do in my daily life. But what makes the Masters the greatest event in golf?
Well, I mean, the fact that it's such a traditional venue, such a gentleman's game, and everybody wants to seem refined at some point in their life. The history and lore of Bobby Jones never turning professional and building this place, and just the secrecy it's been shrouded in, and the unavailability to join this club and to know who's in the club, and the legend and lore of the players who played in this tournament, won it, the green jacket. I mean, it just is history. I mean, it is the epitome of what the golfing world wants you to think of golf, and that it is that much of a gentleman's time-honored game. I've been to Augusta National. I've seen it. I went in 1995, the year Ben Crenshaw won it. Television does that place no justice. That is the most beautiful. It's the only sporting venue I've ever been to in my life where my expectations were too low. It was more beautiful in person than you could ever imagine in real life. The undulation on that golf course, I tell you right now, on number 10, when you tee off, it's virtually almost impossible with a little bit of dew on the ground or wet grass to walk up that hill, walk up number 10. When we did it, we toured the course back. We started 18 and worked our way around. You can almost not walk up the hill. And the undulation on the greens and everything, the greens have flat plateaus, but they're different levels rather than just hilly and bumpy. But it's a golf course that takes your truest test. It's the time-honored tradition. It's the green jacket. You don't call them the crowd. You call them the patrons. They still serve pimento and cheese sandwiches for $1.25, and cheese sandwiches for $1.50. Soft drinks $2. A domestic beer is $3.50. I think $4. A imported beer is $5. Everything comes in a wax paper, and there's never a pine cone or pine straw out of place at that place. So that's what makes the Masters the Masters. It's actually never the best field because they allow amateurs to play. They allow the amateurs to play. They have winners from all over the country. If you win a PGA Tour event, you're in regardless of your rankings, or if you're a past champion, you play for the rest of your life. And I'm not saying much of anybody already didn't know about this tournament. So it's generally only 96 players, I think, in the tournament this year, which generally the tournament has 144 players in it, or 156. Somewhere in that time frame. So it just is the moniker of that tournament is just gentlemanly tradition, honor bound. And you talk about swearing on the golf course. The mics are all over that course, and I heard so many gosh darn it or gosh dollies today. And the only one I heard swear, of course, was Tiger.
Yeah.
he dropped a GD bomb right in the middle of one of the swings. But everybody else is conscious. You're conscious of everything when you're there. And right. But I tell you, I've never been to a sporting event. Last thing I'll say about it is where I was never treated so nice. I mean, helpful, friendly people. Never anything out of place, and everybody there to make your experience wonderful when you get in the gates.
All right, so let's look at today's first round. Jordan Spieth is the leader. I think he shot 6 under par. Why don't you give us a rundown of the day? I especially want to hear about Sergio Garcia because I do like golf movies, and this looked a little like Tin Cup from what I saw to me.
Yeah, well, let's start off kind of chronologically just a little bit. Obviously, the story of the tournament, is the return of Tiger Woods. Tiger's day today, I watched him play either on the computer. I watched the live coverage that they had. He looked tentative today, but, he came out and he seemed to be a little bit nervous. And I noticed that when he gets nervous, he tends to push a lot of his tee balls off to the right and starts playing a little bit more conservatively for him. And he just was kind of trying to get a feel back in. This guy hadn't played in a major as a contender for maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So, and there's a lot of weight on his shoulders to start with. So he comes out and plays the front nine, I think, in 37, and then gets off to a rocky start on the first 2 or 3 holes. And then he gets to number 12, the short par 3, tanks it in the water. And this was really the turning point for Tiger today. Was he tanked it in the water in the shortest hole in the course, number 12, and now he's staring down a 5. He's already I think 2 over at this point, or he's 3 over actually. And he has a 20-foot putt to save bogey, but he's looking at a strong double bogey, which puts him at 4 over, which at that point, Tiger's mentality right now is either way. If that doesn't go, I'm falling apart. If it does go, I'll put myself back in it. He gets up and drains the 20-foot putt from off the green on number 12, saves a bogey after putting it in the water, and then goes on to shoot 2 under for the last 6 holes of the tournament, gets himself back to 1 under, and takes Jordan Spieth out of the loop. He's within 5 shots of being in contention of the lead. And Jordan had a remarkable day today. So that's Tiger's story. I think that the thing that I saw was his grinding was fabulous. His will to win is as strong as ever. And I think that he manages his nerves and his unsurety around the golf course. And he did it, the last thing I'll say about Tiger is he did it by parring all 4 of the par 5s on that golf course. Now, in terms of professional golf, those are some of the most reachable par 5s in major play. You really need to expect to get at least 2 birdies or a birdie and eagle, but you generally got to play those par 5s at least 200 to be in contention. Tiger did it today, going 100 by parring all 5 of them. That's an easy fix for him. I think his nerves got fixed today on number 12 when he made the putt. And I think we'll see a stronger Tiger tomorrow. I think the fact that he can come out tomorrow, he's got the ability to go birdie, birdie, eagle, birdie on the par 5s. And all of a sudden he's picked up 5 strokes or 4 strokes, on the play, 5. So he's well in the hunt. Now here's what's interesting about the leaderboard. Generally in the Masters, what you see is a lot of one-hit wonders the first day. A lot of guys we don't really know. They shoot, their dream shots and then all of a sudden they realize what they've done, and then they see the leaderboard and they're on it, and they just fall miserably out of contention and off the cut line of the second day. But what Tiger's done, this is what's unique about Tiger. I believe the leaderboard right now is chock full of your A player lists. Your Jordan Spieth, your Rory McIlroys, your Dustin Johnsons, not Sergio, your players who are the ones we expect at the end of the tournament to work their way back up there. They're there on the first day. Now, I think that for a lot of these guys, this is the first time a lot of these guys have ever played in a major tournament with Tiger in championship form, where he has an ability to win the game. The last times that he's played, he's been kind of just entering and hoping. But these guys, they want to beat the best. And it's funny how, Mickelson's up there. All these guys are elevating their game. I think Tiger is a big part of that elevation. All the big players are coming in playing extremely well. I think Tiger's resurgence coming back has done that. And I think it's going to make for an incredibly interesting tournament. And I think you're going to see what we used to love to see about the Masters before they started gimmicking with the course a little bit, is that these guys are going to duke it out. Your A players are going to duke it out for the next 3 rounds. Now, today was supposed to be the best day weather-wise of the weekend. Well, they're supposed to start tapering off and off and off through Sunday to some degree. It was a beautiful day. The pins were probably the easiest pins that they set. They start getting more and more difficult as the tournament goes on. And I just think it's going to, this is the effect that Tiger Woods has on the game of golf. And I don't want to take anything away from other players, but because they've had to elevate their game, but they've all done it. And you're not going to see no-name players on this leaderboard come Saturday morning, which is what's called moving day. So it's a great opening round. We got the right players in position. This is what Augusta wants. They want their big guns dueling it out on Saturday afternoon and Sunday all day. And we got it. Two interesting side stories there. If you didn't see it, watch the video of Tony Finau. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What is Gordon Hayward thinking? This kid dislocates his ankle after making a hole-in-one, gets up, pops it back in place, goes on and plays the rest of the round, and shoots 4 under today. and Gordon Hayward dislocates his ankle and breaks several bones and ligaments and tendons and everything. and he's out for the year. So unbelievable, Tony Finau. First off, he said in the interview that he was going to get up and walk off, but he didn't want to be carried off on a stretcher at Augusta National after making a hole-in-one. So but he said it was good because he wanted to test and see if he was going to be able to play. He got an MRI in the morning. They said there's no damage done here. It's just a matter of how much you can tolerate the pain of basically a very severely sprained ankle, a dislocated ankle. So he's definitely a great story with the Masters. And then we come to Sergio, who did his best impression to imitate Roy McIlroy from Tin Cup fame. And I think I talked to one of the announcers of the Golf Channel today, was a friend of mine. I called him and said, did McIlroy make it 12 or 13? And I think we thought McIlroy made it 12. He makes a 13, 5 balls in the water, which just kind of leads me to believe again that I think he's probably the most overrated A player in the game. This is Sergio. He got his one major, and I think to come back but it's a hard game. We don't play golf like these guys play golf. So all in all, to kind of wrap up the Masters today, it was a great opening round. Weather was beautiful. Course looked spectacular. You got your big guns up top already. They're going to push everybody else aside. Freddie Couples is even after his 33rd Masters and continues to make the cuts and be remarkable. Vijay Singh, another senior player, I think is 1 under of the tournament and doing extremely well. So this is just shaping up, and I just think Tiger has a lot to do with it. I'm excited. I might not even play golf on the weekend. I might just sit and watch this because I think this is going to be a really monumental tournament for the next 4 days. Any questions?
Yes, I do. I have one gigantic question because we know from people that listen to our NCAA Championship pregame show that you're on a little bit of a cold streak. You had to sing. Who's going to win the Masters? And if you're wrong, what song will you sing?
I'm done singing. I am done singing.
Oh, people loved it, Steve. It was an iconic moment in internet radio.
Well, variety is the spice of life. Come up with something different. But I think I don't want to hurt. It's fun. It's funny the first time. Second time it gets, not so funny. So we'll come up. But predicting the winner right now, Spieth obviously looks phenomenal. He's the kind of player. He's a front-running player. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He had this thing in the same position 2 years ago and managed to put 3 or 4 balls in the water on number 12, which is the most treacherous hole on the course, shortest but yet most treacherous. And then Rory McIlroy, Rory McIlroy, not Roy McAvoy. Rory McIlroy is looking very strong. He's just coming off a win at Bay Hill with at Arnie's course, and this is the only major he needs to complete the career Grand Slam, which is only 6 other golfers have ever done that. So, he's got some extra motivation there. But if I had to pick today, I would say I would definitely look at Jordan and Rory. This Tony Finau guy, if his leg holds up, this kid's a player. He's a gutsy player. I just don't know how he's got to go off early in the morning because he went late today, so he had plenty of time to get work done on his ankle that he dislocated. And then I said get up and do it early in the morning and go. So we'll see what happens with him tomorrow. But the way this is set up is that with the players you've got, Phil knows his course as well as anybody. Mickelson, he's deep in the hunt. And Tiger's day really, when he gets in contention, that depends largely on what he does tomorrow. If Tiger doesn't come out and shoot 67, 68, then he's out of the hunt. Then you're hoping for a top 10 finish for him and continue in his growth and development. But right now, the 2 favorites after day one, I would have to say would be Sergio, or not Sergio, what I keep saying Sergio, would have to be Spieth and McIlroy.
All right.
So that's why I'd be looking at. But it could all change tomorrow. Weather comes in, different players play well. Europeans play better in inclement weather, and Europeans have this course figured out as well too, because it'll turn into a links-style course in the bad weather real quick, where you got to play the wind and play the elements. So we'll see what happens.
All right, we're going to transition to a sport that's slightly different in golf, and that's going to be the UFC, where, of course, Conor McGregor is wanted for questioning after he attacked a UFC bus containing fighters, injuring at least one person on Thursday. The New York Police Department told people while there has not been an arrest warrant issued for the fighter, at this stage, McGregor is wanted for questioning regarding the incident at the Barclays Center. Seems he's
What's
mad.
the question?
It seems that, I don't know, because I'm sitting here, and before we go on air, I watched this video of him picking up this little fence thing and slamming it through a bus with 25 fighters on it. I mean, the point is this. The guy's an idiot, number one. I mean, we saw that when he fought Floyd Mayweather. I always said this. The two most cataclysmic things that have happened in this country's history was the presidential election in 2016 and the fact that millions of people bought into Mayweather and McGregor. And the reason I say that is this. That presidential election with those two candidates and McGregor and Mayweather and the way they acted shows anymore that you could get ratings and people to vote for you by appealing to the lowest common denominator.
It's so true. It is the most true statement. You can't even go the high road anymore. If you want to win, on social media, you have to go low road. You have to go low road. I mean, I saw the film. I think the only thing he didn't throw at that bus was a kitchen sink.
Yeah, he threw a dolly at it also.
I think he threw everything at that. I mean, and he broke windows. There were fighters on that bus. Like the owner of the UFC said, he's got so many lawsuits facing him now that it's unbelievable. I mean, that bus is going to be filled with lawyers coming at him next time, not other fighters in the UFC. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand it stems from the fact that they stripped him of his title because he had not fought a UFC title match since 2016. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, because he did the little shit show thing with Mayweather and McGregor last year.
Mayweather.
And they were going to do it again, it looked like, in the UFC cage. And my whole point is this. If you watch that fight, you know from watching if you watch it, though, I didn't watch it live because I'm not paying $100 for some fake fight.
No.
And I told people this is going to be Mayweather making it look like a fight so they can cash in. Nobody gets mad at them, and they walk away smelling like a rose. And that's what happened because, let's face it, if Floyd Mayweather in a boxing ring against Conor McGregor lasts more than a minute and a half, it's fake. I mean, Conor McGregor throws punches like a dude that's drunk at the bar. I mean, he hits with his arms. For a UFC fighter, he punches hard. But let's face it, there's a huge difference between a professional boxer and a UFC fighter, and now he's not even going to be that. I mean, Dana White said, he told ESPN that McGregor's actions were disgusting and a disgrace, and I'm sure there's probably an arrest warrant out by now for him. And I know police have said that's not the case, but I mean, you can see the video of him doing it. And the fact is this is just another rich professional athlete that is just going to piss everything away because he's an idiot. And it comes down to this. Why are they idiots? Because from the time they're little kids and show any ability to do anything, they're told they can do whatever they want because nobody wants to make them mad because that's their meal ticket when they get older.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more. And that's what's refreshing about the game of golf. The two opposite polarizing ends.
Well, we did have the Tiger Woods incident with the video, so.
But that was all off the course. That was, well, I guess this is technically off the ring, too.
Yeah, the problem is this.
Maybe
the
next match is Tiger Woods against Conor McGregor. Maybe that's the next match. Tiger gets a 2-iron, Conor gets his fifth. So.
No, Conor gets a dolly. So you give Conor the dolly. You give Tiger the club, who wins.
I tell you, people, if you have not seen this video, go to ESPN or get it on YouTube. Watch the video.
Go to ESPN.
This is a documentary on how to screw your life up in a span of about 2 minutes. Screw your life up for good. Lose your money, lose your reputation, lose your employment, all in a span of about 2 minutes. That's what it exactly is. I mean, he'll be a sideshow now in a circus somewhere.
He was already a sideshow in a circus.
Well, but he was a well-paid sideshow. Now he'll fight.
But what about this? What if they let him out, or if he goes to jail? It's not going to be for that long. He's going to come out, and we just talked about appealing to the lowest common denominator. And, I mean, how many athletes have we seen that have done worse, that have beaten a woman, raped a woman, whatever? I mean, we had, the St. Louis Rams linebacker who gets a DUI while killing somebody, and he still played in the Super Bowl, and he served like 30 days in jail. And everybody gave him a standing ovation when he went back to St. Louis. So let's face it.
And he's in the Hall of Fame, too, isn't he?
No. The way the world is today, hell, he might make more money off of this in a couple of years. Because we all know this.
Yeah.
Dana White may call him disgusting right now, but if Dana White can cash in off of him, he's going to cash in off of him. And if not, maybe Conor decides to be a boxer and go get his ass whipped over there. He's not going to make money for long because I don't think there's too many boxing fans that thinks he can do anything. But, yeah, I mean, this is just – it's another black eye on sports as a whole because you have so many guys that, like I said, are raised to be able to live the way they want, and people let it go because of what they can do.
Right. Everything you said is just exactly how it is. And this is a teaching moment with you and your son or daughter who's in sports, and for high school or youth sports coaches to watch this and say, this is what we can't have happen. This is why youth sports coaches are so important, to temper this kind of behavior. This is why you take your talented son and why you teach him to stop throwing tennis rackets or golf clubs or cheap shotting people or trash talking. I mean, it's a shame because it is going to financially hurt the UFC. But I agree with you. The guy will never see the inside of a jail. He'll lose money, but he'll get a rematch. So now they'll think he's fearless. He's an idiot. So now they'll bill it, as one idiot versus another idiot as a big fight, and they'll probably double his intake. Yeah. That's probably really, sadly, what will happen. Yeah. There'll be another fight. You'll pay $200 to see the next one. And who knows? We may just take him to the WWE, and they can use chairs and.
He could fight Ronda Rousey in a gender war.
Ronda Rousey, how about that? Yeah. What a great fight! There's the fight.
That would
Ronda Rousey in a death cage match.
Yeah. Hell, I think you're onto something. I think right now Vince McMahon needs to listen to this. People need to tweet this show to him and tell him Steve Risley wants to be the matchmaker. We're going to have, the Grueling Truth Gender Wars Championship, and we'll have Ronda Rousey against Conor McGregor. And could we still let let Ronda use the 2-iron and let him use the dolly? Because that's still interesting.
I say we just get Conor McGregor stupid drunk. I mean, drunk enough that the guy can't stand up.
I think that's how Conor McGregor goes through life from watching him.
Yeah, it appears that. So it's unfortunate. It's an evolving story. It just happened. Stay tuned for more, but keep an eye. But if you have not seen the video, it's entertaining. It's worth watching. It's like, where does this come from?
All right, we're going to transition again. We're going to go to the NBA, and we're going to look at the Boston Celtics, who had to be one of the favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference. And, of course, the big winner here is probably LeBron James, as you've probably just eliminated one of their toughest competitors.
Yeah, well, you have eliminated him, yeah.
Yeah, Boston Celtics guard Kyrie Irving will miss the rest of the regular season and the playoffs. And losing Irving probably ruins the chances for the Celtics of winning an NBA title or even probably winning an NBA series. So when we look at this, are the Celtics done? And if they are or they aren't, who are the teams do you think can challenge LeBron and the Cavaliers?
Well, I think the Celtics are done. And I say this only, and I'll say 98%. 2% only because we've seen Brad Stevens do amazing things with lesser talent. I mean, the two Butler teams he took to the championship games were very talented ball clubs, but they weren't necessarily the caliber of outward talent that the teams Duke or something like that. But he's a good coach, and his system works. But I don't know if it works in the NBA to the degree that it will in college basketball. Basically, we've eliminated Philadelphia. They've been decimated with injuries now, too. So really on the East, you're looking at Toronto. And the problem with Cleveland is, the only person that's got better Secret Service protection than the President of the United States is LeBron James. He has 3 strike bodyguards with him every time he steps on a court. So, I don't think that you're going to see anybody but Cleveland come out of the East. Indiana's not strong enough. Oladipo's an up-and-comer. The Pacers are a little bit of an up-and-comer. Milwaukee, Washington. I mean, it's just right now. How many games are left actually in the NBA? 53 and 25, so there's 70.
Yeah,
there's
4 or 5
games left.
Something like that. Yeah.
So basically, the standings aren't going to change. So Cleveland's going to end up being a 3rd seed. Boston's going to stay the 2nd seed.
Yeah, Philly's the 4, I think. Indiana's the 5.
Is a 5. Yeah, I've got it right in front of me here. Yeah, I'm looking at it. And, I just don't see anybody out of the East coming at Boston or at Cleveland, right now. I think the LeBron factor, and he's a great player. I don't want to take anything away from him, but the guy gets a lot of protection. I will say that.
Well, that's almost every superstar you ever had.
Yeah, but he gets more than every other superstar, it seems like. But he's basically, up until now, with his talented teams like Boston and Philadelphia and the Pacers rising and Toronto coming up, he was carrying the Eastern Conference for a long time, too, in his defense. So he was carrying half the NBA on his shoulders. So, but I don't see anybody messing with Cleveland now. And Boston, I think, had the ability to. And Boston's a storied program, which the NBA would like to have, back on in the championship series. I mean, it's never bad to have the Lakers or the Celtics play. I mean, you go back to the 80s in the heyday, the great teams back then, and what really saved the NBA. But I just don't see it now. I think that was a hard blow for Boston and a gift almost for Cleveland.
Yeah,
so,
I would give the Raptors probably the best chance because the Raptors are going to have home court advantage against them, it looks like. But the Cavs did beat the Raptors at home last week, I think it was. I think the Pacers could be a dangerous team, but in a best-of-7, no. If we were doing a one-and-done, survive and advance March Madness tournament, I think almost every team in the East has the capability of beating them a game or 2, maybe even 3, but I don't see anybody taking them best out of 7.
See, sadly, when I think of the NBA, I think of marketing anyway. And I see marketing is slightly above talent exploitation or talent and competitiveness until the playoffs. Now these guys start getting serious about it, but I always think of the NBA, I think of marketing, and I look at a place like Indianapolis is a small market, maybe one of the smaller markets in the NBA, and I just don't think they would prefer not to have a market that small when they're trying to sell advertising and pay all this money. And I know I'll get some hate mail for that, but
no, it's
I just don't see the NBA.
I don't think there's any way to get around that.
No, it's a marketing thing. It is talent. There's the best basketball players in the world, but they market. They market more than they play. So and when you go to a game in Indianapolis and pay $150 a ticket, $30 to park, $75, and you see the Memphis Grizzlies playing the Indiana Pacers, and neither team cares, plays hard enough to try and win the game. Then you go to St. Elmo's Steakhouse, and there's both teams sitting in there yucking up, drinking, partying, having a good time, and here I'm out $800 taking my family to a Pacer game, and it's a lot of money to me. And they're up there just like they didn't give a damn whether they won or lost. When I lost, I went home and thought about it and replayed the game in my mind and things like that. I don't think the NBA does that. So anyway, out of the East, I think Kyrie's a dramatic loss. The only thing is if I think next year Boston is going to be the team to beat. If they can stay healthy. I mean, this whole thing's about staying healthy. And you get Gordon Hayward back, and he looks strong in the clips we've seen of him rehabbing. Kyrie is a tremendous player. Cleveland, we don't know what LeBron's going to do. I think he's going to stay in Cleveland. I don't know, but they seem to be getting weaker and weaker. But I think they're going to win by default on the East. West, I'd be hard to bet against Houston. They're just a juggernaut right now, playing great basketball. Probably a little bit better than Sacramento. It's hard to go against Houston right now. It's another marketing ploy for the NBA. All the trouble that Houston went through with the hurricane and things like that. The Astros winning. It's a hot city. Well, you put Houston against Cleveland. Two blue-collar cities in there, and you got guys sitting around in their homes, smoking cigars, drinking beers, and watching, NBA basketball.
All right.
Where I think it's all headed toward right now.
Well, let's go to college basketball this time, and a story that I know is near and dear to both of our hearts, especially you, since you played for the Indiana Hoosiers. And this is ESPN's desperate ploy to make some money while, walking on Coach Bob Knight again, which they did enough in 2000, 2001. And they still like to bring it up with Jeremy Schaap and, have these long interviews with him about the interview where he basically tried to make Knight look bad. So we got the much anticipated 30 for 30 show called The Last Days of Knight, which, of course, they weren't the last days of Knight since he took Texas Tech to multiple NCAA tournaments after that and a Sweet 16. ESPN, though, will share the documentary exclusively through a new on-demand service called ESPN+. The award-winning 30 for 30 series will be archived there as well, and it will offer to fans an additional opportunity to see live events just for $4.99. So I guess you got to bring something out to try to make some money, so maybe you can hire some of the couple hundred people that you fired because you're losing your ass. And they're losing their ass because of this. They did a 30 for 30 basically being nice to John Calipari, who had a banner taken down in Memphis, and God knows what else he's done in the meantime. You got a guy like John Wooden, who had Sam Gilbert. And this is the thing. Why wouldn't ESPN do a 30 for 30 on that? Everybody knows the story of Knight and what happened. The only thing is they're just going to tell it from a one-sided angle. And that's what makes me sick here, because you've got all kind of – we could do something at 30 for 30, Rick Pitino and the Hose, something like that. But we're not going to do that either. And that would be more timely. So why are they doing this?
You know why they don't do those things in my eyes? Access. ESPN doesn't live without the access. If ESPN goes pissing off UCLA, pissing off Kentucky, pissing off Louisville, they deny him access.
Exactly.
Then all of a sudden Stephen A. Smith can't get in the building to talk and rant and rave about things he doesn't know much about.
You mean anything about?
And so, okay, I'm not going to go there because I don't need Stephen A. Smith on my ass. But they won't do those kinds of things. And from what I've heard about this documentary on Knight is, again, it's fairly nondescript. It kind of sets up the timelines. It kind of lets you make the decision. Now, I've not seen it, but I've read tweet reports of some of the privileged media who have seen an early part of it, and said it's really basically not a hammer job on Knight, but it's not anything. It's just kind of, this is what happened. It's like, here's the story, kind of like you decide. And my whole thing on this whole situation is why, you see, again, there's no need to worry about access to Knight. And so they don't mind picking on a Knight or somebody that's like that, who was a controversial figure in his day, but there's no need to have access to him. I mean, Bobby Knight creates his own access when if he wants to get up and say something. He got him spoke today. He'd create access. But they don't really care. But yet they don't want to honk off Duke or Kentucky or North Carolina with the entire cheating scandal. I mean, we caught the tip of the iceberg with the giving grace to players, but they just touched the tip of the iceberg of that thing. But they let it go. It never comes up again, and because they have, ESPN lives and dies with access to these programs. And if they don't, there's other sports shows out there, other sports organizations out there that'll get the access, and they're worried about not getting the access. So as far as Knight goes, I mean, I've known the man since 1975 was when he started recruiting me. So that's what? That's 43 years? Is that about right? Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
And is he perfect? No, he's not perfect. Are any of us perfect? No, we're not perfect. Does this man have integrity and doesn't cheat and graduated his players and cared about his players? Yes, he does. Did he make mistakes along the way? Was this a volatile environment? Yes, it was. But you know what? There were kids that were designed and built to handle that, and there were kids who couldn't and left. Neil Reed left. I never felt threatened in my 4 years there. I never felt he was trying to get me to do anything but be more focused on what I was trying to do to succeed, what he thought we needed to do to succeed. And it wasn't cupcakes, but teams that win championships don't eat cupcakes. They eat raw meat. And rarely do you find a team who goes to that level and consistently stays up there and a coach can get you there, I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be. And the Neil Reed thing's been put to bed so many times, and we're going to rehash that thing. And that happened, what, in 1991 when that happened or something?
Yeah, it was in the late 90s.
Late 90s, yeah. And he left in 2000. So we're talking 18 years ago. And really, come on, ESPN, that's the best you can do? We've got half of college basketball getting ready to be put on probation right now, and you're not digging into that mess and getting people's interest up? That might get some more ratings right now than rehashing a 77-year-old man who lives in Wyoming or Montana and does nothing but fish anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't even make, other than sell another book, he doesn't make any public appearances anymore. Really, seriously. Most of the kids that watch college basketball today weren't alive when he was coaching. Half of their parents weren't alive when he was coaching.
Well, the thing that disturbs me the most is while we started this show, I just punched in Bob Knight, and I get an Indianapolis Star, whatever they call it now, article from Gregory Doyle. And Greg Doyle is basically trashing Bobby Knight through this, comparing him to Gene Cady, saying that, Gene Cady is honored now. Bob Knight refuses to be honored. Well, number one, that's Bob Knight's right to do that. But the thing that really pisses me off about Greg Doyle, who doesn't even spell it, who the hell spells Doyle, D-O-Y-E-L? When you look at this, he puts, Knight doesn't go back the way that Cady does. He says, not Knight.
Well, wait a minute. Let me interject real quickly. You know why he spells it D-O-Y-E-L, don't you?
Why?
Because that newspaper is owned by Pulliam Publishers. You know who the Pulliams are, don't you?
No.
Dan Quayle's married in the Pulliam family.
Oh, well, they think they let Dan Quayle spell it?
I think Dan Quayle edits his bylines, and he probably just misspelled potato and Doyle. There you go. All right, go on now.
But he basically says at the end, he's talking about how Cady is, made amends with Purdue, and he's a hero there. He says, Bob Knight makes no such appearances at Assembly Hall. He doesn't want to be a part of IU anymore. I hate to tell him this. I hate to tell Greg Doyle this, but Bob Knight's always a part of IU, whether he's there or not.
Yeah.
But IU, and who the hell is Greg Doyle? IU unveiled 5 statues at Assembly Hall before this season, including a 6-person sculpture honoring the 1976 team. All players. Former coach Everett Dean has a statue. So does Branch McCracken. Not Knight. He has painted himself into a corner, and IU is leaving him there. A bitter old man whose spell is waning over a fan base that for years just wanted to love him, but is starting to turn on him. I don't know anybody near my age that would turn on Bobby Knight. The record will suggest, Gregory Doyle says. It sounds like some limp-wristed California guy. He probably lives out there with you. But the record book will suggest Bob.
Show. Let's go easy.
This is the part that really pisses me off. Because he says the record book will suggest Bob Knight was a better coach than Gene Cady. And maybe he was. Maybe. Greg Doyle is an idiot. Because anybody that would say maybe Bobby Knight was a better coach than Gene Cady is just that, an idiot. But, he says, but as far as being a human being, Knight couldn't hold Cady's jock.
Yeah, well, got to sell newspapers. I mean, that's not true. It's just, and I've got 40-something years experience, and I don't have any ill will against Gene Cady. Every time I've met Gene Cady, he has been gracious to me. He has treated me as basketball family.
That was not me ripping on Gene Cady because he was a damn good coach.
I know.
But 3 national championships to nothing.
But Greg Doyle has no concept of what Knight did the other 42 years of 1 year of combined total stupidity or whatever that you combine it all and get, one dumb thing he did 100 good things that Greg Doyle never researched, found the time to do. Knight didn't blast it and paint himself a god by doing it. And it's unfortunate. But yeah, it's what's going to happen as this younger generation who comes in and reads Greg Doyle and takes his word, because most of us are too smart, too dumb aren't smart enough to go do our own research. We listen to what other people tell us. And then you're going to have this hatred build toward Knight. He's going to be, just kind of the villain. But, in terms of Knight showing up these things, one, let me say this. You've never heard a former player on any of those championship teams cry or complain about him not being there.
No.
We don't need him there. Okay? It's fine. We'd love to have him there. We'd love to have him there. But if he's not there, you know what? Life goes on, and we do our own thing. Knight taught us that. He taught us not to rely on everybody. He didn't teach us how to – he didn't give us a fish. He taught us how to fish. Okay? And so we did not sit there and cry. Okay, secondly, in 1976 in the 81, had Bob Knight walked into that arena at halftime for the ceremony, you'd have never played the second half of that basketball game. You'd have never gotten that game tipped off because the place would have gone ballistic nuts for Knight.
Yeah.
I would have felt bad for Crean or whoever was coaching because the game would have never started. It would have just been, it just wasn't there.
And the fact is this, I think Greg Doyle wasn't even writing Indiana sports when Bobby Knight was there. He's probably had very little, if any, contact with him. And the other thing is this, just for the hell of it, I pulled up his page, and it says that he loves dogs, likes cats, won't kill bugs, will instead grab them off the floor and put them outside. Yeah.
Well, there's some good in everybody, I guess.
If everybody out there wants to have a good laugh, you go Google him, and the picture that comes up, he looks just like a penis.
Okay.
He really does.
Greg.
He really does.
This is Greg's opinion.
Hey, you know what? It's great for Greg. I applaud him. He was named the Sports Columnist of the Year in 2017.
Oh, my gosh. I'm off the air.
I've watched awesome. We're not going anywhere. But
I'm off the air. I was going to come back to the IU Basketball Players Golfer Union in June. I'm not coming now.
Why is that?
I don't know. No,
I wouldn't go. I mean, the dude called Bobby Knight a miserable person, so screw him.
Greg is just a metaphor for anybody else who didn't get the access they wanted tonight, got kind of called out by Knight or made fun of a little bit, and he's a metaphor for all those sports writers. I'd say if you want to read a good book, Feinstein was the only person I ever knew of in my day that got full access to Knight for a season. And the book, A Season on the Brink, is an absolute – I read that book in about 3 hours and was dripping in sweat after I read it because it was verbatim what life was like down there.
Yeah.
But it was verbatim. I mean, and I'm in the book. I'm quoted in the book. Stories about me in the book because it was our year, our team. And it was almost verbatim. Feinstein got it right. He did it. But I think Feinstein walked away saying he's a tough man, but he's a fair man too.
Yeah.
But it's not a vacation to go play there. But you know what? The only thing I ever said to people who like to write articles like Greg Doyle is that it's not Russia. They aren't forced to be there. Any player is welcome to leave that program anytime they want to and go play somewhere else.
It's not as good a story.
And all the teams that I got recruited by back in my day, North Carolina when I was in school, Kentucky, Notre Dame, all those schools that recruited me, the heavy ones that really wanted me to come play for them, none of them won a ring. My senior year, I walked away with a ring. I made the right choice. I absolutely made the right choice. I saw it. And not that I'm a genius by any stretch of the imagination. I wanted to play for Indiana because I liked winning. And I thought that was the best opportunity to win. And Knight graduated as players, which is important to my parents. And we didn't cheat. You'll never find dirt in the Knight era of Indiana basketball.
Yeah, and there's very few coaches you could say that about.
There are very few. I mean, even some of the ones we thought, the John Woodens, the Dean Smiths of the world, those guys, we just don't know. And I don't want to think that, but I think the realm of possibility is much greater than the realm of not probable.
Yeah.
So it's just another attempt at ESPN to make some money off of an old story where they don't have to worry about pissing somebody important off and losing access to a program or honking off the NCAA and maybe losing a bid for a tournament or something like that to them. It's just like the Masters. ESPN lets the Masters dictate they show the tournament for 4 hours today. People want to see the Masters all day.
Yeah.
It came on at 8 o'clock in the morning when the first guys went off the tee. Why not just show it all day? Well, ESPN doesn't want to honk off the Masters because they'll lose the TV rights. So it's too much of a cash cow for them. So, it is what it is. I mean, but I did hear that the documentary relatively nondescript. So there's no new news. We obviously know there's no new news.
No.
Enough said about that. What do we want to wrap up with?
I don't know. Maybe you would rap since you lost that championship game bet. I'm just kidding. But Gregory Doyle is always welcome to come on the show, and he can debate you about Knight. He can use the knowledge he acquired.
I'll debate him. I will debate him. I'll debate him with facts, not fiction.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If he wants to do that, I got 45 years of facts and notebooks from my 4 years of playing there, and access to anybody, phone numbers and access to anybody I need to get them online and dispel his fiction. And it was more dispel his opinion.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to tweet this out to Greg Doyle, he's welcome to come on the show and we can discuss.
It's all like Coach Knight used to say. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and most all of them stink.
Yeah.
So
and that one stinks.
And then the other thing, here's the other thing about sports writers. This is what Coach Knight used to say on media day before we let the media in to give us media day. He used to walk in and say, "Now boys, let me tell you something about the media. Here's the media. Most of us in our lives learn to read and write in the first grade, and we go on to bigger and better things."
Yeah, I've heard that before.
But then there is the media who learns to read and write in the first grade and can find nothing better to do. But I'm not picking on the media. I mean, it's a necessary part of the sport. But I don't like it when we rehash stuff and then we get somebody on here who really wasn't even relevant to the time frame when Knight was here.
Yeah.
And
who wants to put an article out?
Forms an opinion.
Yeah.
There needs to be a responsibility. I mean, if Greg Doyle only had a chance to sit down with Knight and ask him, just say, "Tell me all the good things you've done since 1973 when you came." And there's only one person who could do that as a documentary. It would be Ken Burns, because it would be 12 episodes. It wouldn't be a 1 hour documentary. Because the things that he's done, the quiet trips he made after practice to visit kids in the hospital, to go see families, to just, I mean, every week he was doing something quietly. He would leave practice, get in the car, and immediately go, "Where's Coach going?" He's going to visit a family over in Olytic. I'm using Olytic as a fake name because it's just on my brain. But, he'd take off, and the things he did for Steve Bushy, when Steve Bushy's mom died coming home from an IU game, after visiting IU when Steve was a Mr. Basketball in Indiana, and the help that he gave, the things that Knight did for Landon Turner. Why didn't we ever talk about that? What he did for Landon is just unbelievably good. He set up Landon for the rest of his life. And Landon was the biggest pain in the ass that Knight had ever had to that point. And he never talked about what he did for Landon and the great things that Landon has been able to do with his life and get set up thanks to Coach Knight. We don't talk about those things. We don't want to do a documentary on rebuilding Landon Turner.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that because it's not derogatory.
Yeah, it destroys the narrative.
Not controversial. It's another nice human interest story. Well, Knight's chock full of nice human interest stories, just as Gene Caney is.
Yeah.
And the only thing I'd say to Greg Doyle is, open your eyes, buddy. For every one stupid thing he did, there's probably 1,000 good things that he did that you'll never know about. And you know what? That's fine with Knight.
And he
That's
doesn't
fine with
want
Knight.
to know.
He doesn't care. Because I bet if I called Bob Knight right now and say, "Coach, you know who Greg Doyle is?" You know what his answer would probably be? It would either be one of two things. No, which I doubt he'd go, no, is he one of those assholes that writes for the Indy Star? It'd be something along those lines.
Yeah.
So, but again, I'm not picking on Greg Doyle because Greg Doyle is a metaphor for most sports writers who just got to, they're not original enough to come up with something new.
Well, and it seems
they can't go out and find a new story.
He also looks like a fairly young guy, so he doesn't know.
He doesn't know. He wasn't there. I mean, whatever. Well, we moved on. Watch the documentary. I'm going to watch it. I enjoy it.
On a brighter note, Tim Tebow hit a home run in his first at bat in Double-A today for the New York Mets Double-A team. There's something good.
That's good. I like Tim Tebow.
So
that guy's a marketable quality. I'd like to see him make it somewhere in something. And he's just a good egg.
Yeah.
Or he's hiding it real well. So I like Tebow.
You never know anymore.
You never know in this day and age.
Hell, they might catch him in a hotel room with 5 holes and a crack pipe. Shit.
I know, but
But I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it too. But Tim Tebow's a guy that the sports world kind of needs, kind of the anti-Conor McGregor.
Yeah, he is the opposite of Conor McGregor, I think. That's safe to say. I want to remind everybody, you can hear Survive in Advance every Thursday night, Sunday night, where I'm sure Steve will have a wrap up on the Masters. It's hard telling what will happen between him then and now, or here and now, or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean?
We may have Greg Doyle on for all we know.
Yeah, and Greg Doyle. If you're out there and you're listening to this and you want to hear Greg Doyle defend his article about Bobby Knight, tweet him that he needs to come on the show. We won't be mean. We'll just calmly, him and Steve can discuss their point of view.
No, you've proven we won't be mean.
No, I said Greg and Steve would discuss it. I'll sit quietly by, and then at the end, if he's convinced me that he's right and you're wrong, Steve, I will publicly apologize to Greg Doyle. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to have the balls to come on, number one.
No.
And number two, I know he can't prove it.
Coach Knight doesn't want or need defending of his former players or any of us. We do it. If I defend him, it's because I like him and I care about him, and it hurts me to see that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So he doesn't care. He really, truly doesn't care.
I know he doesn't care, but I do.
Yeah, I know.
So,
all right, that's our first show.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to be making changes.
Yeah. John Einreinhofer is probably going to come on with us Sunday night also. He's a lawyer. Thank God. He's a lawyer. He couldn't be on tonight. He couldn't be on tonight because the Conor McGregor situation happened, and immediately 5 UFC fighters called him. So he's on his way there to try to make a little bit of money, but he should be back in time for Sunday night's show. I think John's going to sit in with us every Sunday night and talk a little baseball and the basketball, as we always do. And, of course, you can hear our wrap-up of the Masters, which I promise I will watch on Sunday because it's not like there's anything else on because I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, and there's nothing to see there. If you got any questions or show ideas, and no, don't get funny and tweet to Steve that maybe we should just cancel it. But if you have any ideas, you can.
That's what I'm thinking.
You can Twitter us at Grueling Truth, or you can find us on Facebook at The Grueling Truth. Remember, you can download our show app on the iTunes store by searching The Grueling Truth. You can hear us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.